Mm.
So we're live now. I am so excited, smiling from ear to ear. I know you want to share this live on your page, but guys, you can find my brother in success on Facebook, J. Michael Stuart Sr. I just call him Jay.
Right,
The kids call him Uncle Jay. So we are going to just have some real talk with you guys today, real talk. And we're going to go ahead and title this, Real Talk with Entrepreneurs, because that's who we are. So we're going to give you guys time to hop on live, share it. It's going to be some really good information on here. So we're just going to dialogue. So if you have any questions, hey, Natalie, I should have did a talk show. She could have been on this thing too.
Right. Is it too late? It
is too late. We got you next time, Natalie. We're going to dialogue, guys. This is some real talk. Hey, Nicole, I see you. Guys, share the video. My brother in success, Jay Stewart, one of the top income earners in the company that we're with, and just an incredible speaker, an incredible entrepreneur. Oh. And I had to get him on here. Y'all have heard him before. He's been on my noon calls. We've done Zoom. We were doing the late night Zooms. So y'all know I truly love and adore Mr. Jay Stewart. So make sure you are sharing this video so people can learn. See, this is the deal. Like, for those of you who are watching this for the first time or watching my video for the first time, I am a corporate America reject, right? I say that because I was good enough to earn six figures in the oil and gas industry. I was a business development manager, but I was laid off from my job. Thankfully, I didn't wait until that happened to get a plan B. Actually, I've been laid off from jobs before, but this time it was different. This time I had an option to say, I'm not going back to corporate America. I'm going to be a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home mom, be a homeschooling mom. I have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and 18-year-old college student. And so I am just excited that I get to call my own shots. And so we're going to talk to you guys about the power of entrepreneurship, the power of really being your own boss. And with that, we have to be the evidence sometimes, right? Sometimes we have to show people how to do it first. And then you see it, you believe it, and we got it. So Mr. Stewart, I want the viewers to know who you are. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Jay Stewart.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, first of all, I'm flat out excited to be on the line with my sister in success. I'm not going to be able to stop smiling. I wish the camera wasn't on, but I'm flat out pumped up. About me, my background is simple. You said corporate America reject. I was a lifer, at corporate America. I mean, just as soon as I graduated high school, went straight into the workforce, right? Skipped college, kind of went back to that later, but just been gainfully employed for the last, I don't want to tell my age, sis. I don't want to tell my age, right? For the last so many years, I'll say that, right? Like a lot of other people on the line, but always have had that entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, I'm a dad, a single dad of three amazing young men. 2 are full-time college students, right? So I'm supporting them in their endeavors. And I have one that's full-time on my nerves, right? I think we all got that kid, right? But I love them all to death, right? So they're 20, 21, and 22, starting out in life. So we're just having a good time. But that's my background, just a single dad working, always looking for that next level, that next, rise in my income, a way to change what I was doing full time. And just so you know, I know but everybody else may not. My background is in the transportation authority, right? And that's a sexy way of saying, sis, that I drive a bus for a living, right? I say transportation specialist. I take people where they need to be, right? So that's what I do. I was doing that about 80 hours a week when I started doing what we do now. And it was killing me. I did it because I wanted to, because I needed to. I needed the extra income, but it was physically and literally killing me, right? And so again, 2 years later, things are totally different because of what we do. Diving into entrepreneurship, so things have totally changed. And I would have never met you had I not became an entrepreneur. So super excited about that.
Oh my God, you're right. I mean, I feel like I have a newfound family. So you talk about you being a bus driver. And so I know bus drivers that have drove buses their whole lives. Mm-hmm. And I've known actually two of our family members who have passed away, and they worked until they died.
Absolutely.
And I can attest to their stories of there's a lot of people that are watching that are doing things they don't really like. Mm-hmm. They're getting paid income that they really need more, you know. But what do you think holds people back from making the decision to keep their job and build a business? Because I didn't quit my job. I was laid off. You didn't quit your job, and we still decided to build a business. But so many times when we're trying to help people and show them a better way, they use their job as an excuse. Oh, I work too much, or I don't have enough time. I have too much on my plate. Why do you think people do that, Mr. Stewart?
I think, Ms. Thornton, I think really the simple answer to that is people get stuck. People get stuck in that mentality. I mean, we're born to win, but we're programmed to fail. That 40, 40, 40. I mean, when you lay this thing out of what your life is really going to look like after you've committed, and let me be upfront, this is not bash your job, right? This is not that, not at all. I don't want you guys to think that at all. But when you look at what you do for a time, some people are fortunate enough to like what they do, but most people that I talk to don't really love what they get paid for what they do. Right. And when they look at what they want out of life, and then they put that side by side with what they're going to get from doing this 40, 40, 40 plan, right? Only just your job, then the two don't add up. Right. And I think the people stay stuck because they feel like that's the only way. That's the only way. And I was one of those folks, LaVonda. I'll tell you, even though I've always had that inner voice that says, you know what, I want to be my own boss. I don't like people telling me what to do. I hate getting up at 4:30 in the morning and having somebody in my face, right, telling me how long I got to stay, how much they're not going to pay me. I always had that inner voice, but everything else around me said, you know what, this was the only way. This is what I was supposed to do. I should be thankful for the quarter raise that they were going to give me, at the end of the year, and that I should just continue that grind. But at some point, if you keep doing the same thing, you got to realize that you're going to keep getting what you're getting, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting things to change. So to answer your question, I think people are stuck in that employee mentality, and they won't even step out on faith just a little bit, not walk away from that, but just add to, right? Add to it. And if they can step out on faith just a little bit, open up that mind just a little bit. I heard somebody told me this, LaVonda, and I'm going to steal it like it's mine, but your mind works best like a parachute, right? It works better when it's open, right? Yeah. So, I mean, again, folks just have to open up their mind just a little bit. Look at this entrepreneurship as a way to add to what you want to do.
How many years you've been an entrepreneur? How many years have you been in the industry of marketing and entrepreneurship? How many years, Mr. Stewart?
You're gonna make me tell my age again, right? I want to say off and on about 15 years.
Okay.
About 15 years, yeah, about 15, 18, give or take. Yeah,
15 years also. And so let me just ask this question. Sure. Have you ever failed?
Yes. Do you want me to pull out my notebook of failures? I can show you a list of failures. Absolutely. And you know what? That kind of goes back to your other question, which is why people kind of get stuck or why they won't. It's because they failed. They've tried some things. Some people have stepped out on faith and they have failed. And I'm just like everybody else on the line. I've tried things and I've failed at it. But really, once you start to grow personally, you realize that you didn't fail. You just learned, right? You learned. And so you really positioned yourself to be better for the next opportunity when it came along. So absolutely, over the course of 15 years, I've tried several businesses. Some were amazing. Let's be clear. I mean, just amazing opportunities, met amazing people. But again, I was making the leap from employee to entrepreneur. So it's a skill set. That's another reason I think people stay stuck. They don't understand that it's a skill set you do have to learn. And again, those opportunities that I used to look at as failures, now I look at them as learning experiences. I got some of those skills that I need to pay the bills, and now we're doing it in an amazing way.
That's what I love. But then when you think about all the things we have ever experienced in life, there have always been life lessons. I tell people, you know, I was afraid to drive, but I had to do it. And I messed up. I remember right after driver's ed, I had my driver's license. My daddy wanted to ride with me, and I made a couple mistakes that could have been life-threatening, right?
right.
So he took the keys to my car, and he wanted to report the driving school and everything. Like, what did they teach you? How did you get your driver's license? I can't believe, you know, I accidentally ran a red light, you know, but it wasn't like I was driving straight through it. I just made a right turn while it was red without stopping.
You ran it a little. You ran it a little bit. You just ran it a little bit.
Yeah, you know, with like the major run straight, I turned right, and he was just freaking out. And so he screamed so loud that it scared me. Right. And so I was really afraid to drive after that because my daddy's fear. And I was like, Daddy, it was just a little mistake. You wasn't cars coming or anything, whatever. But then it scared me to drive. And so I was very timid. From that point, I didn't want to get on a freeway. Wow. I mean, I was limiting myself. And in Houston, it is almost impossible to without getting on a freeway, right? And so I was just so scared. And then I had to get my daddy out of my head. And I had to really just say, LaVonda, you got this. I went back and studied my driver's book. I mean, I had my license, okay? And sometimes that happens in business. Like, we'll get excited about a business opportunity, and then we'll go back and share it with our friends and family who don't own a business, who have never owned a business, and they'll say things that will totally freak us out. And then we decide, you know what, maybe I made a bad decision. Maybe I shouldn't do this because so-and-so said, or because when they did this happened. Mr. Stuart, tell me some of your stories, because I know you have a team of over 700 people. So you hear stories all the time where people like talk themselves out of stuff just because of what they've heard from someone.
Yeah, absolutely. We call it the birds are going to get some, right? If you're sprinkling seeds on the ground to plant or what have you, the birds will come and get them before they can, implant themselves in the soil. So that absolutely happens all the time. Folks that have negative experiences will talk folks that are open-minded out of the opportunity. But you know what happens more even so than that is people talking themselves out, right? Yeah. Even without the outside influences, they talk themselves out of something that they see. It makes sense to them. It works. I mean, everything adds up, and they'll talk themselves out of it. But going back to your point, absolutely, I've experienced that plenty of times in the business. You get folks, they're excited, they're ready to go. They even sign up with you in your business or what have you, ready to go. They're doing a thing, and then they go into the witness protection program. Yeah. Right? You're calling the phone. And these are people, sis, these are people that you know and love, right? That come to your house for the cookout and things of that nature. But what happens is they do have those conversations with people that have been burned, right? For lack of a better word. They've had a bad experience, so now they're super negative. And you really got to protect your mindset. I mean, again, you got to start using logic at some point. Yeah. All of us are going to have bad experiences with everything. I mean, we had bad experiences with relationships. I'm sure we're not going to talk about that today, right? But just because you had that bad breakup or that bad, it may even been divorce, do you stop, believing in love? Absolutely not. I know I don't. I mean, I've heard this expression too before. What if a kid got up and tried to walk, right, when they were a toddler, and he fell down and said, you know what, I'm done with this walking thing? That wouldn't be a good look, right? That wouldn't be a good look. But that's what happens a lot of times. People will, put their foot in a business, try it out. They may not get the results they want, and then they're negative. So when you're trying to start your own business, you got to protect yourself. Our founder over here with our company says, your dream, you got to protect that dream. You can't let those outside influences steal what it is you're trying to do. And I'm so thankful that, we've gotten some experience over the last few years and said, hey, you know what? We're going to protect it. We're going to block that stuff out, and we're going to go full steam ahead.
So you have young men, grown young men, and I have an 18-year-old son, and I have 2 up-and-coming toddlers that think they're teenagers.
Yeah, and JoJo.
So, you know, the dialogue with our children is very, very important. And more so that what they hear us say, but also what they see us do. I see you spend a lot of quality time with your children, and you have fun with them, because I've seen your Facebook lives. I've seen you almost die in the skating rink.
You saw that?
I saw that, you know. And so how important is it for parents? So this is where I'm getting at, and then you'll know where to take the conversation. Because y'all, we didn't script this, okay? I have no questions. Me and my brother Jay, we could talk on the phone for hours, because we have the same mindset, and we're always like just pumping each other up and being positive and thinking of ways to educate and motivate people, right? But y'all, okay, so this is where I'm getting at.
Okay.
Parents have the best advice for their children. They tell their children to be all that you can be. Hey, don't quit something. When you start it, you better finish it. You know, you're all, stay positive, keep the negative people away. And I witnessed some of these amazing parents do the total opposite. So how important is it for our children? I say that because my kids motivate me all the time. In fact, Yaya reminded me of my goal for 2017. She's like, Mom, what's taking you so long? Well, she's my little accountability partner. She's like, you hit 3-star director yet? Because
right.
You got to do that a long time ago, right? And so, you know, we have that. But how is your relationship with your children? What kind of conversations do you have with them to help prepare them so they're not stuck in a box, so they're not bonded by the mentality of 97% of the population?
Right. Listen, we're going to get some sky high ratings because you're about to make me cry on your show. No, this is that's my why though. You know, when it comes to why I do what I do, it's about those young men. You know what I mean? My boys. And I still call them my babies. I can't help it. But it's about them seeing me do what I want them to do. Right. Our kids, you know this as a parent, and everybody else on this line knows that our kids are going to do what we do, not what we say. And you made a great point when you said, and this is, I'm just going to paraphrase what you said. Parents want their kids to be A students, but we getting E's and F's in life, right? We're not finishing the assignment. We're not going out and making it happen the way we want them to make it happen. So, you know, here it's, for me, it's about showing them what's possible. You know, I can just be transparent with my family, you know, as far as men that have really gone out and became successful outside of the box, calling their own shots, being a boss, right? They don't really have that example, you know, outside of my dad, who's now deceased. But, you know, outside of him, they really don't have that example. So for me, that's what it's about. The income, absolutely, you know, we want to accomplish those things. But I need them to see that, you know what, if they want to go out here and call their own shots, they absolutely can do it. And I need to be that example for them. So I need to make sure that we see this thing through the end. When it comes to the dialogue that I have with my kids, you know, I don't have the traditional dialogue that most parents have, right? I do want them to go to school. I want them to get educated. Education is important. But at the end of the day, more important than that is for them to chase their dream. And that's the conversation that I have. My middle son is an aspiring actor. He's in college right now, but he's traveling. You know, he'll come home to do a shoot. He'll travel to Atlanta to do a shoot. And, you know, other people are like, well, you know, he's not even getting paid for this or getting paid for that. I don't care. Right. And whatever I need to do to help you do it, I need you to chase that dream, because at the end of the day, that's what's important to you. That's what's going to make you happy. You sitting in a cubicle for the next 30 years is going to be hell. You know what I mean? And so I need you to know that you have it in you to go do that. And the best way to do that is to set the example, LaVonda. That's what we got to do.
Wow. Let me tell you, my son came home for my birthday. My birthday was October 14th. And I wasn't feeling well, but he broke out his book bag and he didn't go hang out with his friends every night. He did the first night. I was like, where you at, boy? So anyway, he came and he was like, Mom, he was like, I'm doing really well. And he's taking a class for public speaking. Nice. And he's doing really well. He was like, and I realized the reason I'm doing so well is because I've watched you do these presentations. I've heard you speak on webinars, and, you know, he's come to some of our weekly meetings, to some of our regional events, and he's been to travel parties. And so just to help me out, you know, in beginning, and even in my corporate career, I've taken him to some of my meetings where I knew that I wasn't doing a whole lot, and I wanted him to travel with me. I wanted him to see that while mommy's traveling, I'm not having fun. This is work. It didn't help that my coworkers would play football in the office and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's a stress reliever. That's really not fun, right? And so, he said that his exposure to that, and to my husband and I both are entrepreneurs. My husband is a personal trainer, you know, outside of him being a social worker for CPS. But he's experienced those things. And so his mindset is different. He said it's helped him in his class. He's not shy with the public speaking. And I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, and you're right. Education is very important, and our conversations with our children are important, because you cannot tell my 4-year-old that she is not a 17-star director, and that she is not a travel agent. Right. Because her example, you know, that she have, and you know, my 5-year-old think he's Mr. Donald Bradley, our founder. And you know, when they role play, he's Mr. Bradley, and it's so funny, Jay, because he got a chance to meet him in San Antonio. I swear that he met Michael Jackson. Well, let's say Jay-Z's still living, right? He met Jay-Z or somebody because he was starstruck. And I'm like, he's never met Mr. Bradley, but it's because he's seen the presentation. They hear me do the webinars. They hear me edify, you know, our business partners. And so that's important. But, you know, I know you have a ton of knowledge. And when we talk about, you know, freedom, personal freedom, time freedom, money freedom, people say they want it, but I don't think they really understand what it is. Otherwise, they would be breaking their necks to do whatever it is, or whatever it would take to get it. What is real freedom, Mr. Stewart?
That's a great question, LaVonda, and I'm gonna get right to it. But I gotta tell you this story real quick, because you just reminded me of it, right? I gotta tell it. So I'm in Indiana, right? And you were talking about JoJo and how he's looking at you guys. I'm in Indiana. My son went with me to Indiana for a presentation. We did some travel parties, things of that nature up there. But we were at a hotel meeting. It was a Super Saturday, right? So I'm doing a Super Saturday. This is his first time, and this is my oldest. This is his first time at a presentation, right? And so they're calling me up to close. And so when they start to edify me to come up to close, it's like, you ever want to bring up one of the top income earners out of 19,000, right? And I could see he was like not interested, right? He's just hanging out. And then when they called my name, the whole facial expression changed, right? I mean, his posture, he sat up like, what? This is my, right? And so just, I mean, I had to tell that story.
Yes,
but his face was priceless. I was like, you know, I needed that. Yeah. That's why I'm here, right? I need you to see that you can do the same thing. You know what I mean? And that dad could be the hero. And so that
changed his life forever, because you know what? Now what you validated what you've been telling him. So now he's like, oh, I'm listening to my daddy. He the top learner out of 20,000 agents worldwide. You got that right.
I'm telling you, when I did that presentation, I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof, right? You couldn't tell me nothing. Because I had my #1 fan right there. So that was huge. That was huge. Now you were talking about time freedom and personal freedom, and what that looks like. Is for me is having money as an issue out of the way, you know. And I'm just passionate about that. It's not necessarily the big car or the big house. All those things are great. Want them too, right? I want the pool, and I got it. Want all of that. But at the end of the day, it's about people being able to go to the bank and not get nervous about what's in the account. It's about having your kids be able to call you, you know, from school and say, Dad, I need XYZ, right? And it's not I want it, it's that I need it. And you're not having to make a life decision, you know, to get that done. Time freedom is the same thing. You know, I love being able to have cut my hours back so drastically that it's almost like I'm doing this thing full time. You know what I mean? I can be where I need to be. If my mom calls me in North Carolina, who's living on a fixed income, and she's an amputee, if she needs me, I don't have to ask anybody. And I go. And that's never set well with me, right? So I should have known I should have been an entrepreneur at 19. Because when I started working, the first time they told me I had to apply for leave, I was like, what is that? what does that mean? I got to go ask somebody, can I go somewhere?
Right.
I mean, this didn't make sense. So, you know, having money as an issue out of the way, number one. Number two, getting out of that space where you're surviving and not living. You know, when you got bills beating you up every month, that's a living hell. You know what I mean? That's no way to live. You're just surviving. And so for me, that freedom first starts with getting those things taken care of, getting back to zero, right? Where you can breathe, where you can actually think a little bit, where you can live a little bit, right? And then start to, you know, get some of those other things back, like your time, right? So that's what it means for me, having money as an issue out of the way and being in control.
Man, that's huge. You know, we do. I told my husband, I said, I want to homeschool my kids. I want to protect them. I want to protect their mind. And now my kids think everyone is an entrepreneur, right? Because now they forgot that mommy used to work. But I talked to Kalaya yesterday. That's Yaya real name, Kalaya.
right.
And I said, Yaya, do you remember when mommy was working and I would have to leave you? Because I would travel 85% of the time. And I would never tell my kids bye. Most of the time I would try to leave without seeing them, because when I did, I would cry like my whole trip. And sometimes I was gone a couple days. Sometimes I was gone a few weeks away from my family. And that was one of the hardest parts. But with my job, I would dedicate so much time and hours and energy, and I would have to sacrifice even my personal time, because what I did, I was a business development manager. So we would meet in boardrooms, but afterward, I would have to take them to lunch. I would have to take them to dinner. Sometimes I have to take them to happy hour, to a football game, a baseball game, a basketball game. So even when I wasn't in the boardroom, my time was all committed to them.
Wow.
I told my boss, I was like, man, sometimes I work 80 hours a week. And he was like, no way, because he was calculating time on my laptop or time in a boardroom. And so I remember Josiah, my 5-year-old, he has really bad bronchitis. Okay. And so he would have to get on the nebulizer, the breathing machine. And I had just came back from a business trip. It was so bad that I could hear him wheezing. He was crying. He had fever. He was miserable. And I said, I need to take my baby to the doctor. I think they need to change his medicine. It's not working. Something's wrong. And my boss said, well, can't you just take him to the babysitter? And when he said that, I knew in my mind that I was done with corporate America. I didn't quit my job, but I knew at that moment that my children didn't matter to my job. My husband didn't matter to my job. I didn't matter. There have been times where I needed time off and I was afraid to take the time off, even though I had my hours, you know. And so now, last year, my dad was really, really sick. Right now, my dad's in the hospital, right? And I'm able to be there for him and with him. And my brother and sister had to call and ask for permission to be with my daddy. He was for us to leave him. So I was able to be there around the clock, never left him, and was still working my business with my laptop. You know, just a couple weeks ago, I had to take JoJo to the emergency room on my birthday. And it wasn't a question of, am I going to disappoint anybody? You know, am I afraid? I can just make those decisions. And I believe that everyone desires to have it and they want it. They just need a way. And so I know you mentor, you coach. I see your team members on here commenting and shouting out to their coach, Mr. J. Stuart. You know, what is it that wake you up? Why do you drive and coach and mentor your team so much? What is it that you have inside of you, your passion to help other people? What is it? I just want to hear it from your mouth.
Wow, that's crazy, Ms. Thornton. You know what? We talk all the time, but every time we talk, we discover new things, you know, about each other and our similarities or what have you. But that's what it is. It's what you just talked about, giving people the freedom that you had with your dad. You know, my story is real similar, and I'm not going to go too heavy into it. But when my dad passed, it was the exact same situation. You know, it was the family members. I remember my sisters and brothers getting in their car, leaving to go back home because they had to work, knowing that was the last time they were going to see my dad. They knew, right? They knew. And because I had the opportunity to stay, things were different. You know what I mean? And it was a couple of hours later, we ended up calling and saying that he had passed. Anyway, that was a breaking point for me. You know what I mean? That was a turning point for me in my life. And again, that wasn't the point where I quit my job. I mean, they caught an earful, and trust me, your boy stayed with his dad, right? But it was a turning point for me. And I knew that at some point I was going to have to be in control, right? And so now that I'm getting that control back, the reason I coach, the reason I drive so hard is because I want other people to have the same opportunity. You know, I know it's that we're not special. It's not just you and I that have these situations. Everybody's got a birthday and a box day, right? Everybody got to go. The older we get, we're going to go to more funerals than we do weddings, right? So I get that. So as life comes, as these storms come, how are we going to handle them? Are we prepared to handle them, or is somebody else going to be in control? And now that we have a vehicle that gives us back the control, I'm screaming from the mountaintops. Yeah. And when you know that it's solid, when you know that it's impeccable, when, I mean, the leadership is right, the product travel's not on trial. Let's be clear. You know what I'm saying? It's not on trial. So what we have, what we do, it works, right? And the business model is unprecedented. I was on the phone with some individuals earlier today, millionaires in their own right. Young lady introduced me to them, and, you know, we were having a conversation. But Ms. Thornton, you know what? When we came and laid out our evidence, our numbers over the past 2 years, and today is our 2-year anniversary, they sat back and were like, wow. You know what I mean? And I'm impressed with them, but they were equally impressed with what we have here. Yeah. And so knowing that we have something that solid that can actually give people back what it is that they've been missing, give people that freedom to be in control of their own life. That's why I coach. That's why I drive so hard. I know that if I can do that, if I can help enough people get what they want, then I'll get what I want. The income's going to come.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about the culture that we have here, that our founder is servant driven. You know, he and his beautiful bride was on our Mompreneur Zoom last night, and their focus wasn't on themselves. And of course, you have to get the evidence before you can teach and train other people, right? And so, and when doing that, is, do I keep it to myself, or do I teach other people? And it's hard not to, because there's a lot of people struggling financially with jobs, with 2 jobs, with 3 jobs, you know, and they didn't have examples before, because our moms, our great grandparents and beyond were taught some of the same things that we're taught. And so in our game night this week, Mr. Bradley said something that was just amazing, but I kept it in my brain. It was, America was built on poverty and not wealth. In the books that I've read about homeschooling, they're teaching those same things. People have to go back and remember, why was the education system designed? It wasn't designed so that you can go out and live the life of your dreams and be amazing. It would program you so you can go out and get the jobs. And I shared that with my husband. I said, why do you think a job is so similar to school? We have a bell that rings for us to go to school, for us to eat lunch. We get very little time ancillary. We get some holidays off. And if we miss too much school, we're expelled, we're punished, we're in trouble, right? And so with a job, the same thing. We know when we have to clock in and clock out, eat lunch. We know when we have the holidays off, the 4-day weekends, the 3-day weekends, right? And if we miss too much work, we are terminated. If we think outside of the box on our job, we're terminated. If we go against the supervisors, we're terminated. Even if they're great ideas, and if you're too good on a job, you'll get terminated because you're intimidating other people. And so now it's take that knowledge that you have and you go out and be great. You know, Mrs. Stewart, a lot of people that are tuning in right now are amazing employees. They're creative, they're committed, they're loyal. I mean, they are just top-notch employees, which means that they would be committed, loyal, top-notch entrepreneurs and leaders for themselves. So I want you to have the final word today and leave us with some of your amazing thoughts that really could get someone out of their own way and make a decision of a lifetime.
Wow. What do I say to that? You know what I mean? This has been amazing. First of all, let me say that it's just, it's always great for us to dialogue. It's even better when we get to do it live, right? So this has been tremendous, epic in my opinion. When it comes to making a decision that could change your life, you just got to do it. You know what I mean? You just got to do it. It's like Nike. You just got to do it. We talk ourselves out of things so much, but you got to listen to. You got a lot of voices in your head, but that first voice that says, you know what, I deserve better. I am better. I want more. You got to listen to that. You got to quiet the stuff around you and listen to that inner voice that's telling you that you deserve better. And it's out here. And then what you said is so true. You said make a decision, right? That's the biggest thing that we don't do. We don't make decisions. When you decide something, CIDE is the suffix on the end of decide. Suicide, pesticide, homicide, that suffix means to kill off, right? So you have to make a decision, meaning that you have to kill off all other options. We're not saying quit your job, but make a decision and say, you know what, I'm going forward. I'm not going back. I am going to take a chance. I am going to do something different. And then you just got to get out of your own way. And I promise you, I said this, I think I did a post the other day, it feels good to be on the right side of a decision. You know what I mean? I look back, 24 months ago, and I remember that was, just to be transparent, kind of a little dark spot, you know what I mean, in my life. And I could have very easily made the decision, talk myself out of this thing and said, you know what, did that before, done it. I've seen people that haven't made it, that are not successful. I could have easily talked myself out of it. So I'm so glad that, at that point in my life, I had seen enough, had learned enough, had been around enough positive people to say, you know what, no, this time we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. And it's been the absolute best decision I've ever made. I've got to meet beautiful, intelligent family members like yourself, who is now, my assistant success out of Houston. And just so many other people I've seen them chime in on the line, just one big family, guys. The biggest asset or the biggest takeaway that you'll get from this business outside of money is the relationships, the networks, right? I've really been able to get away from the people that have my problem and get around the people that have my answers, and my life is totally different. So you guys, if you got it in you, that voice is talking to you, as it does all of us, make that leap, make that decision, get started. Even if it's not this, find something that's going to propel you to the next level, something that you can feel good about, something that you can lock in on, something that can make you the hero of your house again. Back to you, Miss Thornton.
Deep. Y'all see, this is why I talk to this man. Just like a powerful mind. We enjoyed sharing with you guys. I mean, we do this dialogue all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
This is deep. That's why you have to change your circle, right?
Absolutely.
I used to have friends, and they're no longer friends, I guess, because we don't talk that much. And when I used to watch Housewives and all that stuff, several years ago, and I changed my circle of conversations, changed, my life started changing, my mindset changed, my vision changed. And so I appreciate you, Jay. Guys, make sure you go to his Facebook page, friend him, follow him. If you're sharing this information, or if you see this shared on someone else's page, connect with that person and ask them, what is it that y'all are doing? Right? Find out. If you're interested, hit us up, let us know. We would love to help you. And we love all of you. And there's nothing you could do about it. And we'll definitely see you at the top. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Absolutely. Happy anniversary, sis.
Happy anniversary.